Welcome to my 6 weeks review of the LetPOT LPH-Max. Let's start by adding water to the system as well as setting up the automatic water tank. I find it quite irritating that there is no separate water tank in the box, but you have to add your own, especially when getting the LPH-Max at a regular price tag of $399. This, by the way, is an old bread box. Next up is the preparation of the nutrients, which come in 2 different plastic bottles, and according to the manual, I still have no clue why there are actually 2 of them. After that, it is time to get your own seeds. They are not included in the box due to import and export regulations, ready for the 21 growing pots. If you're using all of your pots at the same time, be ready to spend half an hour or so on the task. What I found a bit disappointing is also no included way to mark your plants for you to actually know what you've planted 6 weeks later. This is something I am really missing. Then it's time to fill in the nutrients into the nutrient box and add the pots into the machine itself. Fill up the water container to the max. Plug it into your outlet. Power it on by pressing the first front button. And voila!
It's week 1 of my experience with the LetPOT LPH-Max, and I have to say I'm actually a bit perplexed. As you might see when I show you some of the B-roll of the system, the plants are exploding. Well, yeah, exploding. I planted a wide variety of different plants ranging from red peppers to tomatoes, some basil, of course some basil, as well as a single gherkin, and everything has actually sprouted in 1 week. Especially the gherkin. My plan was to get them ready for being transferred outside after maybe week 3 or 4, since the seed pots aren't big enough to support the growth of vegetables. But I guess I have to do this actually much earlier. For the system itself, except for the first day where I cut the power earlier than the system's internal clock was actually set to, which forced it into not being able to hold the time anymore. Well, this resulted in it being set to something completely different the next time it was turned on, and so the schedule was all over the place. But after setting it once, again, I did not have any more problems. And I also don't know if it does the watering itself, because I haven't heard or seen it pump some water into the tank above. But it is set to pumping mode, so I guess it does its job. Maybe the inner tank is still full enough, so it does not need any new water. Well, so all in all, I'm very happy with the LPH-Max so far, and the ease of use right now is very welcome. See you in a week when it's time for the next regular update on the system, and probably the first time I need to replant some of the vegetables outside.
It's week 2 of the 6-week growing cycle, and man, the gherkin plant is growing like there's no tomorrow. I have to regularly rotate it so that it does not steal the artificial light from the other plants around it. But everything else is also on the way of getting bigger and stronger. Except 2 plants of which right now I'm not quite sure what I've actually planted there anyways. Oh, and another small update, I've actually had the plans of getting the gherkin as well as the peppers out of the LPH-Max onto our balcony to, well, replant them because of the size. But the weather in Germany right now does not allow that. Maybe next week will be a better time for that. As far as the machine itself, I shortened the light on the cycle a bit, since it stayed on for 14 hours daily, and I reduced it to 12. That's enough time for them to grow. And I'm still not sure, but I think the water pump hasn't kicked in yet, even after 2 weeks, so I'm still waiting for it to use its automatic modes. Oh, and the small problems that I had with the clock and time settings in week 1, well, it magically vanished. It now recognizes and holds the times even when manually shutting it down. When I'm thinking about it, I haven't actually mentioned the plants that are in the LPH-Max right now, so guess it's time for a small roundup of that before we see us again in week number 3. I planted 3 different pepper plants, red and yellow versions. 4 pieces of American brown salad for picking, 3 pieces of standard green picking salad. In German it's Kopfsalat. 4 plants of basil. I really love basil, so there's going to be a lot of basil stuff in the next weeks. And then 4 small tomato plants, the red ones, and 1 obviously gherkin monster plant or so. See you in a week when it's time for the next update and hopefully some replanting of at least the gherkin. I'm beginning to wonder what would have actually happened if I planted more than 1 gherkin plant. See you soon. Week 3, and to my surprise, not much has actually changed when it comes to the growth. The shortening of the light cycle the week before seemed to have made no real difference in growing. The gherkin, well, it finally slowed down a bit, even though it is still a monster and much bigger than any other plant inside of the pot. Most of the plants are now distinguishable by their characteristics, so that I actually know which plant has been inserted where into the LetPOT. To my second surprise in this update, the water tank still hasn't done anything, at least as far as I know, and I'm in home office quite a lot right now. So I think there's no need for me to refill anything yet. There's still plenty of nutrients in the automated tanks and the water level is still high enough. Other than that, I have to say the LetPOT does its job well, remarkable, unobtrusive and very unnoticeable, which is a great thing in my opinion. And now finally, an update on getting some of the plants out of the device and onto our balcony. The weather in Germany is still terrible and very random, so maybe another week from now could be a good time to begin transplanting them. See you again in, well then, week 4 with hopefully some more exciting news and a bit more action when it comes to moving plants all around our apartment. Exciting news everyone, it's actually week 4 and finally the weather is, well, better. It's nice that this sentence actually rhymed. So we decided to get the gherkin out of its pot and into a bigger housing, together with some more plants. In this case, well, it's arugula, which I've planted in another system. The gherkin seems to like its new house and we will get it on the balcony in the next couple of days. The rest of the plants, as well as the machine, have also gotten a new place in my apartment directly next to the balcony, where they even get more light, not only artificial, but also real morning sunlight. For now, everything is growing and living its best life in their pots. The tomatoes are also coming along better than actually last week. Oh, and finally the pumping did spring to life and got some more water into the tank. It must have happened while I wasn't aware or away, but since I wanted to clean the water I saw that not much was left. Hooray! It is working. But one thing that I've noticed now after week 4 is rather a strange thing. The LPH-Max has a built-in counter telling you on its display how many days you're into your growing cycle. Well, as far as my count goes, right now, while recording this, it's exactly 23 days from when I began with the 6-week growing cycle. And the system says it's growing day 11. So I do know what's going on there. Maybe the internal timer is not counting when you manually shut the device off. Well, whatever. I guess we'll see us in week 5 when it's time for the next update. So, week 5 and 6 won't be a separate section, but rather a combined one. I actually don't know what is going on, but somehow it feels like the device is starting to show its weaknesses and flaws. Good that I actually made a long-term review and not how the manufacturer actually suggested, just an unboxing and a quick show of the LetPOT. In week 5, I started to see that the plants themselves did not grow any further. Well, I don't know if this is the right turn, but compared to other devices in the same category that the manufacturer also told me not to talk about, the plants are growing way slower. After the initial boost, which happened in the first 2 weeks, now most of them are starting to slow down very much or stopped growing at all. And some of them actually begin to wither away. The basil is very small for being in 6 weeks. The salad should have been ready by now for the first harvest, and let's be honest, this isn't ready by any means. So the only thing to actually save those plants is replanting them into the bigger pot and growing them the natural way outside. We think the smaller plants and the slowdown mostly comes from the very thin soil and the almost non-existing space the plants themselves have. 21 pots in this small space is very thin. Most other devices have more space as well as more soil for the plants to form the roots. Also, I guess the pumping system isn't really working. I had to manually use it by holding down a button for a couple of seconds for it to actually start pushing water into the container until it was full. So I don't know, I guess this isn't fully automatic. I also refilled the nutrients container with some more liquid minerals at the end of week 4, and even more faults and flaws popped up after that. The day counter is still not working as it should, since the LetPOT tells me it's day 17 on the counter, even though we are at the end of week 6 now and I use it every single day. Then yesterday the LetPOT got into its regular sleeping cycle at the evening and would not wake up automatically in the morning. Turning it on by hand just resulted in it starting a very intrusive and loud beeping noise, showing me that the water level was completely empty, which it clearly wasn't. It was almost max full. So after repeatedly shutting it down and then cutting it off from the power, nothing happened. I then started the pumping mechanism by hand. It pumped for at least 2 or 3 seconds and then returned to its normal functions as if nothing happened. So here are a few shots of the plants we repotted while I'm giving you my opinion on the LetPOT LPH-Max after 6 weeks of using it. And let's actually start off with my classic format. Would I buy this device myself when I wouldn't have gotten it from the manufacturer as a review product? No, I don't think so. I'm not a fan of the, well, American design with the silver metal kitchen appliance look around its outer shell. Probably a lot of you are, I'm not. And most of the functions aren't relevant for my actual use case. Most of the automatic stuff I can actually do by hand. Is the device worth the $399 the manufacturer wants you to spend on it regularly? No, I think that is actually overpriced, especially when comparing it with other manufacturers who give you a better experience as well as more comfort levels in terms of plants and, which actually does not happen here, seed variety. What about the $269 when it's on sale like right now? This depends on how you are going to use it. 21 pots is quite a lot of pots for a small size, and if you use it for only growing the plants to a certain size and then replanting them outside or indoors but in bigger pots, then in my opinion this actually works really fine. The first couple of weeks the plants were growing significantly faster than my other machines. But as a single machine to go from 0 to full harvestable plants, this, and I don't like saying it, but after the first 6 weeks of using it, I don't think this is the right tool for the job, especially since you have to bring your own seeds into the mix as well. The instructions LetPOT gives you aren't clear enough on how the machine actually works, and in terms of nutrients you actually have no clue how much you need to add for which type of plant. Also the pumping system, well, it isn't well explained. So all in all, I'm not really a fan of the LetPOT LPH-Max, and all of the above points could be neglected if it would do its primary job really well, growing the seeds into full-size plants. And after 6 weeks, I don't think it did that very well. As always, my name is Leech and I'm off writing the next scripts. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to subscribe to this channel. There are plenty more of this type of content, 3 to be precise, plus a separate accessory video and many other things available for you to watch. Have a great day, see you around, and goodbye.